Good morning, Wellspring. Welcome to Wellspring. My name is Jim Moore. I'm part of your Sunday morning, December 18th, 2022 service team. Now we have a few announcements. Early birds, we just finished reading the Your Soul's Plan this morning after weeks and weeks and weeks of devouring that book. We're going to start something new next week. If everybody has their books, we're going to do Practical Metaphysics by Eric Butterworth. Upcoming speakers. Next week, Christmas Day, will be Edward Burrowbaugh, and again on the 1st of December. On the 1st of January, excuse me. And our Thursday evening group is planning to start again up on January 12th. It's by Zoom and it's at 7 p.m. Our lunch bunch will be meeting on January 10th, which we've changed it from a Wednesday to a Tuesday. And we meet at Cracker Barrel at 11:30. So everybody or anyone is welcome to join us. Lastly, our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. You may submit a request via our webpage. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoon at 4:15 to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know that we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. Relax, sit back, relax. We'll have an invocation. As we gather this morning, I am so grateful to be part of this Wellspring Sunday celebration. I'm grateful that each of you are here as well. Some in person, some on Zoom, and some just in spirit. As we slowly breathe in and out, we realize and acknowledge that Spirit is in this place, that Spirit is a string that ties us all together. And because Spirit is all there is, we too are Spirit living in human form. During these early days of winter, with less sunshine than we might like, let's let our light shine even more brilliantly than usual. Let's hold this vision until the turning of the earth brings us closer to the sun in the spring, when our area of the country will experience a rebirth of sorts, trees budding, flowers blooming, and birds singing. I affirm that Peggy's message today will resonate with each of us, and that we will gain both wisdom and insight from her words and her presence with us here today. I also affirm that we will be equally blessed by the music provided by our talented Barry and Doug Adamz. May the love and positive vibes that we receive here today flow out into our community, growing and expanding to bless our entire world. Again, I am so grateful to be part of this beacon of light we know as Wellspring. And so it is. Please stand if you are able for our song of joy. standing, we'll read our vision, our mission, and our affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. Our affirmation: I welcome the light and the love of the divine to shine in me, through me, as me. I am a light in the darkness for those around me, and only grow the light the more that I share this divine spark with others. We magnify this light in our community together. So it's time for special music. And I want to just tell you what a good show you missed last Sunday afternoon when Sharon and Edward and I went to the Jewel Box Theater in El Paso to see Doug, Teresa Chuduri, and Gene Keller perform. It was a great show, and I'm
Thank you so much.
so glad to be there.
It was great to see you there.
Our reading today is from 365 Science of Mind, and I chose the reading from December 11. Today I will walk in the light, and my consciousness will be illuminated. From Isaiah, the sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. And from the Tao Te Ching, who uses well his light, reverting to its source so bright, will from his body ward all blight. There are so many illustrations in the standard texts of the world relating to the light. The Spirit is thought of as being the essence of light. People are spoken of as being the candles of the Lord. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. That is, the darkness has no power over light. Light will overcome darkness, but darkness cannot overcome light. When Isaiah said that the Lord shall be thy everlasting light, he meant that there is a light within us, the light of truth, of spirit, of God, that cannot set, cannot become obliterated, cannot be blown out. The candle of the Lord burns forever because its wick is sunk deep in the well springs of reality. That light, that spring, that substance to which Jesus referred when he told the woman at the well that if ever she drank from it, she would never thirst again. It is no wonder that the woman asked him to give her of this water, that she might no longer be compelled laboriously to draw from the fountain that can become depleted. Today I will walk in the light, and my consciousness will be illuminated. My thoughts will be guided and my way guarded, for I know that in my light there is no darkness. In this divine light there are no shadows. It's time for Peggy to come up and do her thing.
So good morning. I see you have a new microphone set up here rather than the standing mic. And I don't know, can we push? Yeah. That'll work. Yeah. Thank you. I'm just barely tall enough to see over it. And I don't know if you can see me over it. Whoa. I think we're about to lose it here. No, it's okay. It just twisted, but it's still tight. You want to check it, Edwin? You be sure. It's your equipment. I don't want to say, oh, it's okay, and then it falls to the floor in 30 seconds.
If it fell over, no problem.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I didn't touch it. They're my witnesses, right? I did not touch it. I guess I foreshadowed it or foresaw it, or I don't know what the word would be, but I shouldn't have said it's going to fall over in 30 seconds, right? Yeah, very clearly, yeah. Well, it's kind of like my situation this morning. I was a little tardy to arrive here today because I went off and left my cell phone in the charger, plugged into the charger, and it is got my notes in it for my talk. So I had to turn around and go back. And when I plugged it into the charger, I said to myself, now you can't forget this. If you forget, then you're going to have to do it all, you're just going to have to wing it or whatever, which I tell myself it'd probably be okay. I kind of wing it anyway. But as soon as I realized I had forgotten the damn phone, I said I should never have told myself this whole story about what I was going to have to do if I forgot it and forgot to take it, right? So I did the same thing just now. I mean, I guess we should pick the lottery number today or something. Maybe I should. I don't know. But it's interesting sometimes how these things evolve. But thanks, and I hope that the machine isn't damaged at all. And do we need to put it back up here? No, but I mean after I'm done? Yeah. Okay. Whatever. You guys will figure it out. Yeah. And Edwin said to me as he hooked me up on the, right at the end of the thing of testing the mic and everything, and just before I came up here, he says, now, don't hold back on your voice. I'll take care of controlling everything from back there. I'm not real sure if that was like an inverted kind of thing. And I didn't ask Edwin because I have never been accused of holding back on my voice, but I am a little hoarse. I left here last time I was here 2 weeks ago on Thanksgiving weekend, and that was tested positive for COVID Tuesday afterwards. I came down with what I thought was a cold after that Sunday service and following Monday morning. But I notified those of you that I thought I was close enough to that day on Sunday to have been of any transmission. And fortunately, no one else seems to have had a problem. So I'm glad about that. But I've got a little frogginess in the back of my throat still. And it's more than my usual allergy stuff. So you'll have to excuse me for sounding a little hoarse and clearing my throat, coughing, whatever, all the, you know, the what is it that Larry Pass calls it? I can't remember. He has a word for my sinusity, but I can't, sinusitis or whatever, but I don't remember now what it is. At any rate, thank you for the reading, Jim. That was just perfect. I love that idea of the candle for, we're all candles for God. And I hope I can remember to bring that into my talk here elsewhere. We hear a lot this time of the year about light. You know, it's the darkest month in our northern hemisphere. It's not the case with people in the southern hemisphere. They're having the light, the most light of the month of the year. But and many traditions, as you mentioned, as was mentioned in the reading, also focus a lot on light because we seem to be in the absence of it, I guess, from the evolutionary times in the northern hemisphere. This has always been the case, that this has been a dark month and people kind of hunker down or hide out or wait for the light to come back. And they've developed a number of traditions over time with different spiritual traditions as well as pagan traditions to acknowledge or recognize the darkest day of the year, which is coming up this week on the 21st or 20th, 21st, however you look at it, for the solstice. And then coming out of that, the light returning. And the convention theme this year at the Convention of the Americas that I'm part of down in Mexico was Be the Light. So I had thought, well, you know, this is the appropriate thing to do. Then I'm looking at the Wellspring information online yesterday, and I see that Kamatara talked last week about light. So I watched part of her video, and I'll confess that I kind of fell asleep to it. So I didn't see all of what she had to say. So my apologies for my repeating her, but I don't apologize if it's a reinforcement for what we all needed to hear anyway. And so I'm just going to, you know, roll with what I wanted to touch on, which is more about the challenges that I face, and I think I'm not the only one here, in shining our light. And some of what Jim read to us about walking in the light and having our consciousness be illuminated is definitely picking up some of the terms that I plan to use today too. So here's kind of what I know for sure, as Oprah used to say in her stuff, what I know for sure, because it's based on, you know, my own experience, which is that for me to be the light, if I'm going to be the light, which I believe we all are, those candles for God, for me to be the light, first of all, I have to see the light. So that idea of walking in the light is that the light is not just coming from me, it's coming from something that I'm enveloped in, and I have to see it. I have to understand what that light is about. And I don't know about you, but what I've discovered in my life is if I choose not to see the light, because it is a choice, you know, it's there. The light is there. The sun will come up tomorrow, Orphan Annie, you know, the light is there. But if I don't choose to see what the light is for me at that moment, I'm going to feel the heat. And to me, what that looks like or sounds like is something's not going well in my life, or it's not happening the way I thought I wanted it to do. I don't feel like I'm in the flow. All of these are elements for me that say I'm feeling the heat. Something's pushing down on me. Something's needing to be revealed. Something's wanting to be revealed. Something's wanting to be changed. Like my bad habit this morning of trying to do one more email to a client, and I'm running a little bit tardy and I forgot my phone, but I plugged it back in because I was using it and I didn't want it to die in the middle of things here. But that's my bad habit of, trying to do too many things at one time and then feeling the heat of, there's the phone back in the charger. There's lots of more important and critical things that happen in our lives than a little thing like that. But that's just an example for me that if I don't choose to see the lesson there, if I just drive all the way here and tell myself, well, and I don't choose to see the possibility that maybe next time, because I didn't listen to myself. I told myself, Peggy, you should stop this right now, switch gears, plug the phone in, get out of here, finish getting dressed and everything. No, I'm gotta finish that one little thing, one more thing, and that comes back to bite me. That's my feeling the heat. So if I don't see the light, if I don't listen to the messages, if I'm not willing to follow that intuition that is illuminating my path, I choose to take it, then I'm going to feel the heat. And so when I don't pay attention and I don't accept, sometimes I pay enough attention to see something, but I don't want it. I don't think it's what I want to do or be or have happen or whatever. So I'll push it back. Am I the only one that does that? These messages that come in from the universe through us, because, my life doesn't happen to me any more than your life happens to you. I do think we're in a room where everybody understands life happens through us, right? God can only do for us what God can do through us. We are, the physical manifestation of that spark of divinity that each one of us individualized represents, that are the hands, the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the legs of God to do the work on the planet. And my life happens through me. So I have to learn at some level that what's being revealed to me is something I need to take responsibility for. And sometimes that taking responsibility for what's happening through me that shows up as my life and, oh, woe is me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to be the victim, or I want to, play the game of what's this, ain't it awful? And these are elements that cover up our light, that cover up my light. If I don't choose to deal with them, if I don't, I'm putting, I think I did see this part in Kamataras, which is part of what I was planning to say too. I'm putting the bushel over my lamp. I'm trying to snuff out the candle. So I have to see my part in whatever it is that's going on, recognize that this is an opportunity or a creative possibility, perhaps showing me not so much a rejection of what I thought I wanted, but a redirection. So if I'm not willing to take the redirection or consider what it might be, but I don't always have the immediate aha that, well, this is telling me this or that's telling me that, it has to be every once in a while, taken into prayer and meditation and asking for guidance and allowing those practices to be a part of what continues to pull the bushel away or take the candle light back up or push the oil up if you want to use it, or plug in the electricity, any of these metaphors that we use for this idea of the light. But basically at that point, my light's gone out at some level. It's covered up enough that it's gone out. So what happens when the lights go out? On the electrical end of things, on the 5th of August of this year, in my apartment, on the last day of the convention of the Americas, Be the Light, I woke up in the darkness and turned the light on and it didn't come on. And the electricity was out. So I got dressed in the dark and went down a few miles away to where the convention was being held. And in that path, I realized, well, the lights are on everywhere except right this little part of my street. maybe that happens to me, you know. And I'm thinking about this because of, you know, metaphorically too, because of the fact that, you know, we're finishing up the convention that day, and the theme is be the light, and what happens, you know, maybe when the lights go out. So I see that only this short street that I live on down there seems to have the electricity off, and then there's some flickering happening on some of the street lights, but the houses are all dark, and we're all connected together, but we have no electricity. So I had the flashlight out, I got dressed, you know, and I went out, and I noticed that, and I'm thinking about that on the way down there, that, you know, there's some flickering of light, there's no light, and then there's light again when I get down to the other main street. And I'm realizing and thinking about, well, all these houses that are there on that part of that street are all connected together to some single transformer, some single source or something that isn't quite getting through completely, because the street lights are getting something, but the houses weren't. So that started me thinking about this connection to source. What happens when the light goes out? What happens when my light goes out? Because my little street just represented, you know, nothing compared to the whole community there. And what are the possibilities of what I can do? You know, it's kind of like, it was reminded me of those the old Christmas lights that we used to have before they got smarter, and, you know, they had just a serial wiring, and there'd be one bulb out, but the whole damn string was gone. And you have to go and find out, well, now which one is it that's burnt out, or which ones are, and how to put it all back together again, and then get it to turn on. And I guess that's kind of like that movie that everybody watches in the Christmas time, that my daughter watches. What is it called? The Wonderful Life. The guy that buys the leg with the lamp that lights up. Yeah. So that's part of what I was getting to when we were reading this part of your affirmation, which I think is just affirmation for the month, right? That talked about how our lights are all connected together in this community called Wellspring, and in this community called the world, for that matter. And that's what sort of was on my mind when I was running into this situation that particular day back in August, that my part is mine to do. So we have to once in a while recognize that even though we are light workers, we're light chasers too. And we are not always feeling that we're in the light, or that we are the light. It's not always like, you know, Pollyanna and everything is wonderful. And that is a matter of what I consider one of the, you know, corollaries or axioms within the corollary of the spiritual law. So we have to eliminate to illuminate. We have to eliminate to illuminate. We got to take that bushel off. We got to clear out the conduit. If I represent the channel for spirit and the light, and something's blocking that transmission so that I'm not shining fully, where is the problem? Something went wrong on my street. Somebody's house blew something up, or some transformer was knocked out, or whatever. But it's my responsibility to keep my part of it going. And whether or not I recognize that I am the cause, or at the effect of, you know, the light being out, either way, what my part in it is to patch it up somehow, you know, to try to step in there. And to me, what that looks like for us is spiritual practices, prayer, meditation. I always say, if we are pre-prayered, we are prepared. And if we're able to stay in that level where even when something shows up happening through my life, it might not be such a dimmer, you know, that'll rheostat kind of thing that pulls the current back so that the light isn't as bright as it was. Or maybe there's a break in a line and a wire, like on the old Christmas strand, you know, where we've got to tape it up until we can fix it better, or replace it, or replace the bulbs, you know, whatever it is that's showing up. If I need to investigate it a little bit so that I can understand what's being revealed to me about the next indicated necessary thing. So that idea that I can put the tape over it for the time being or whatever, but I have to get the illumination back. I want to find the way back to that light. And one of the things that I've also learned in my experience, or that I know for sure, as Oprah would say, is people who are around us that we notice are in the dark. Your reading, Jim, is about the light versus the darkness, or the darkness cannot eliminate the light, but the light can eliminate the darkness because it illuminates the darkness. There's no way really that I've discovered in my world that I can step back into the darkness with somebody who's in there and pull them into the light. I think what Sandy Scott taught me is we are tunnel knockers. She said, they're in the tunnel, they're in the darkness, but you can't go in there with them. You can just kind of knock along the wall and say, okay, this way, this way, this way. But I'm not able really, I mean, I can shine my light, but again, if they choose not to walk in it, if they choose not to be illuminated by it, there's nothing that I can do. And the frustration that I've experienced in my life at times, and maybe some of you too, when you've tried to help someone, you've tried to bring them into the light or out of the darkness, it's about not allowing your light to be dimmed by that, not allowing them to turn your rheostat down. You know, Ernest Holmes has this phrase in the textbook that we're all knowledgeable about if we've taken any classes at all, which is that there is a power in the universe for good that is greater than we are, and we can use it. And I like to add to that, and we can allow it to use us. So if I'm the conduit, if I'm the channel, if I'm here allowing this process to go through me, and I'm not connected well enough to that power source that is greater than I am, nothing has quite the impact or effect that it could otherwise have. So I just say, you know, let us use it. Let us use it. Let us connect to it. Let us be that conduit for the light, the candle for God that Jim read to us about. Get connected to that source and that power through the practices that we teach in Science of Mind. You know, the prayer, the meditation, affirmation work, getting into the positive rather than the negative, this old sort of AC/DC, we could get into the science of that. But our job, I believe, as light workers, is to recognize that there is a dark side to us, each of us individually, because we're human. And we need to work maybe on some of that. So the daily spiritual practices help pull me back. And maybe maybe my electrical tape is, I'm going to wrap this up. I've got a little problem here with a disconnect in the circuit or something. I have to wrap that around with my faith and my belief that all is well, God's in charge. And occasionally, you know, we have to repair something. We've got to benefit from rehabilitating the line, changing the transformer, upgrading the connection, you know, all these things that we have as the metaphors that we use also in the technological world about upgrades. So I have to ask myself, you know, what's wanting to be revealed, and look into that. And I invite you to consider doing the same thing. If you're feeling like you're not fully charged up, your batteries are a little bit weak, or you're not getting the full benefit of the light that you're walking in or trying to walk in, it's maybe time for you to consider the question too, is there some spiritual growth work wanting to be done in my life so that I can eliminate the stuff that's in the way and work on it? You know, I think you probably have heard me say before that what I've discovered also in my trip around the planet this time is that if I don't do the work's going to do me. And this is the part about it where I feel the heat. If you feel the heat, it's because there's something there that you're not paying attention to, or you're not willing to allow to let go of, or you're not willing to have it let go of you, whatever that might look like. And so I have to look at my belief system, because we understand that behind all of this, you know, whatever it is that's going on for us, there's a belief or a choice that we've made about our beliefs. And so I call that my BS, because for me, it stands for belief system, but it also stands for bullshit. You know, it's the stories that we tell ourselves. It's the rational lies that we believe, because there's really no reality out there other than the one that we've chosen to believe. and to perceive. And thus we receive more of the same. You get the flow of how that works? Yeah. So we are creators, whether we're conscious creators, whether we're in that light of consciousness and the elimination of the consciousness is the question. And there's a song that I didn't get my act together well enough to talk to anybody about playing it, either recorded or musically here today. But some of you may know the song that I wanted to share a little bit about the lyrics from it, because I think it helps with this elevating our consciousness from being dragged down by whatever it is that we've believed about who we are or what we can and cannot do. The song is called I Am Light. And maybe many of you have heard it. It's written by and performed by India Aire, and she's on YouTube. I am light, I am light, is how it goes. Anyway, that's the way the song starts out. Then I wanted to share with you the lyrics of it. And I also wanted to do something else, but I decided that I'm not sure that I could really do it, because I got these candles and I didn't know how thin they were until I got them out of the bag, out of the box this morning. And I don't think we can light them up without people getting, too much heat. We don't want any more heat. We want light. But I do want to share with you these candles so that each of you can take one home and light it at home and remember what we talked about here today. And again, to bring back Jim's reading about that we are candles for God. So if we could hold that affirmative perspective that this candle, when you light this candle, you remind yourself, I am a candle for God. I am light. So I don't want to light them up unless somebody really wants to be brave. I brought the lighter if you want to light them up. But I wanted to read you the lyrics to this song and let you consider how it resonates for you or doesn't, and consider some of it. And I'll send you the lyrics if you want to give me your email. I'll send you the lyrics. And what you can understand about this woman's writing of it and how she saw the light come through and past the darkness in herself. So it's I am light. Well, first of all, it starts with Om. First words of the song are Om. And then she says, I am light, 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 I am light. I am not the things my family did. I'm not the voices in my head. I'm not the pieces of the brokenness inside. No, I am light. I am light, I am light, I am light. And my phone just skipped down here, sorry. I'm not the mistakes that I've made, or any of the things that have caused me pain. I'm not the pieces of the dreams I left behind. I'm light. I'm light, I'm light, I'm light, I'm light. I'm not the color of my eyes. I'm not the skin on the outside. I'm not my age. I'm not my race. My soul inside is all light. All light, all light. I am light, I am light, I am light. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I'm a star. I'm a piece of it all. I am light. 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 You are light. We are all light, all a piece of this light that is the light of God, the light of the season. So go out and be the light for the season. Don't just look at the lights for the season. Let's be the light for the season. Thank you. Now, am I going to do the, okay. All right. So now before we let these guys come back up and fiddle with us a little bit, I'm going to take us into a little spiritual mind treatment. One of our practices that we hold dearly that has the affirmation perspective within it, you know, the 5 steps of treatment, the realization step is the affirmation. And I choose to see that song that I just read you as an affirmation. I'm light, I'm not this, I'm that. I'm not this, I'm that. And when you can consider all the things, and this woman is a woman of color, India. Ivy is a woman of color. So you can appreciate some of what, you know, she may have gone through in her life that many of us have perhaps been spared that are in this room. But nonetheless, to think about that when you look at your candle and when you light your candle and put a photo of it on Facebook for the Wellspring, or send it out to people, join the chain of the community of the candles of the spirit of light. So right now in this moment, we feel the light. We are the light. We know that the light of God is in, through, around, and for us. And in this season where the appearance of darkness may be greater than the visibility of light, we know that we bring to the visible the invisible, that is the light within each of us, the divine spark that is the spark of God, as we choose to call it. And in the connection with that spirit of light, knowing that we're just so many photons of all the photons that are in the light of God that illuminates our path and perhaps the path of others around us. We take that in, we just breathe that in as though we were seeing our candle lighted, representing that flame that we are, that is birthless, deathless, endless, as Jim read, cannot be snuffed out. And from that flame can grow the fire of passion that leads us into the next great yet to be indicated steps for our lives, which may or may not include the possibility of eliminating some things from our character, from our lives, from our habits, in order to free up the bandwidth of the conduit that we are, for the light to come through, to show us the way, and to emanate outward from us to illuminate others. And I affirm that each of us here is that light, that we hold that light sacred within ourselves. We know that we are able to fan the flame of that candle of God within when we choose to, when we need to, when the world needs us to do that. If everyone would light just one little candle, the darkness would be gone. And at the same time, we allow the darkness to show us those dark corners that might benefit from illumination, to help us to move through our lives, bringing the light where it's needed in our own individual part of the planet and elsewhere that we see the need for light. We can be that presence of the alternative. We can be the light bearer. We can carry the torch like Isabella. We can follow the star like the 3 kings and allow that light to be our guide as our mentality, our thinking becomes more and more enlightened and illumined. We share that with others. And we leave here today confirmed in the conviction that we are the light, knowing that our light is brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And we see that illumination and that brilliance growing as we do our spiritual work, our practices, our interrelationships with others, our moving into the Christmas week. We do our best to be the light, to bring the light to whatever situation we encounter, knowing that God has our back, that this Spirit never fails. And with great gratitude for that knowledge, the knowledge of the oneness of who we are and how we are in the light, for this philosophy that we are blessed to know about and to act on and to activate in our lives. We just allow these words to be let go of, transmitted into the law of love, that as they're spoken, it is so, and so it is. Now, Edwin, I'm done if you wanted to come back up.
I just wanted to say something. I meant to tell one of the speakers about this, but since they didn't, I'll just mention it. I got an email from the Unitarians in El Paso, and there's a man involved in the Buddhist community down there who's collecting warm clothes, coats and stuff, gloves, to take to these immigrants, the Nicaraguan people who have come over in mass and are in a really bad way. So if you want to know more about that, talk to me afterwards. I'll put you in contact.
Maybe you can give them information to put in the newsletter.
Yeah.
I don't think it was microphone.
It wasn't. It is now.
Thank you very much. Beautiful song. As we acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts, we give great thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of the one flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts and know they are multiplied throughout our community. There are a number of folks who have contributed to the production of this service, and we are grateful for their service. We thank you for joining us today, Zoom land and here in the sanctuary. And lastly, stay around in the Zoom meeting after service to visit or join us in the social hall. Please stand as you are able and read with me the benediction, followed by our congregational song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is.